Marvel fans, comic geeks, and all nerds in between. My name is Megan, and I'm here with another character breakdown, and of course it's a mutant. And I think it's a mutant that's kind of crazy I haven't talked about yet. So this one kind of felt like an obvious. We're going to talk about who is Cable. Cable first appeared in Uncanny X-Men number 201 in October of 1985. That was as a baby, as we all remember. Then in New Mutants number 86 in December of 1989 as Cable. He was created by Chris Claremont, Rick Leonardi, Louise Simonson, and Rob Liefeld. So, from the second Cable entered the world, the universe took one look at him and said, yeah, this guy's going to have a rough time. And they did not lie, not one bit. It all starts with the galaxy's creepiest geneticist, Mr. Sinister, who cloned Jean Grey to make Madeline Pryor, then manipulated her into marrying Cyclops, who is Scott Summers, because he wanted to engineer the ultimate mutant baby. The baby was Nathan Summers. Totally normal family planning. Nathan Summers, that is who Cable is. That's his real name. That's his government name. Nathan was barely born when he got caught in a demon invasion plot involving the dimension Limbo. The X-Men and the X-Factor shut that down, but his mom died in the process. So day one was not ideal. Sinister's next brilliant idea was to use baby Nathan as revenge against his old boss, Apocalypse, who is Ensabah Nur. Apocalypse was not about to let that happen, so he kidnapped Nathan first and infected him with the deadly techno-organic virus, hoping he'd eventually become the perfect body to possess. Imagine getting a terminal illness because an immortal supervillain thought you looked promising. Is it flattering? Maybe. Still weird. After Apocalypse was beaten by the X-Factor, a member of the Clan Askani, a group dedicated to fighting Apocalypse in a dystopian future, offered to save Nathan by taking him thousands of years into the future. Cyclops basically had to say, sure, random time traveler, take my baby. Nathan grew up in the 38th century of an alternate timeline under the care of Mother Askani, who was secretly his time-displaced half-sister, Rachel Summers. Yes, because the X-Men family trees. They grow in different directions as regular family trees. They even cloned him as a backup in case the virus couldn't be cured. Fortunately, Nathan managed to keep it under control by constantly using his telepathic powers. Unfortunately, Apocalypse's followers stole the clone, who grew up to become Strife, basically Cable if someone turned up all the trauma, just straight to an 11. Apocalypse planned to use Strife as his new body, but decided against it after Strife refused to cooperate. Family reunions in this universe are complicated. Despite spending most of his life using his powers just to stop himself from dying, Cable is still absurdly powerful. He's both telepathic and telekinetic, meaning he can read minds, move objects, influence people's thoughts and bodily functions, which is weird, create force fields, and even tear things apart with his mind. What is the catch? Most of that power had to be permanently redirected toward holding back the techno-organic virus from consuming his body. After the virus was finally cured, he could actually use his abilities the way they were meant to be used. Being from the far future also means Cable has access to technology that makes today's gadgets look like calculator watches. He can body slide, basically teleport, across huge distances using tech built by Forge, wears a heavily upgraded cyberkinetic arm that fires missiles and extends mechanical fingers, has a robotic eye that shoots lasers and sees infrared, and his techno-organic implants include computer interfaces, hidden weapons like an ion blade, and even synthetic skin so he doesn't constantly look like a Terminator. If his mutant powers ever run low, he just cheats. He plugs into futuristic systems like the Dominus Objective to replace his telepathy with an informed network, swaps telekinesis for a gravimetric force field generator called the Cone of Silence, once carried around an AI encyclopedia named Professor, and had access to the space station Greymalkin, which handled teleportation and time travel because apparently one ridiculous piece of tech was not enough. He's also one of Marvel's deadliest soldiers, an expert marksman, master strategist, A skilled pilot, weapons specialist, hand-to-hand combat expert, and proficient with everything from modern rifles to future weapons. So basically, if it can be used in a fight, Cable probably mastered it sometime between the 21st and the 39th century. His biggest headache is Strife, his clone, who grows into a completely unhinged terrorist obsessed with revenge against Apocalypse, and against the Summers family because technically they're his parents too. Identity issues don't even begin to cover it. Strife builds an army called the New Canaanites in the future. To stop him, Nathan joins a human mutant resistance called the Clan Chosen, and that's where he finally adopts the name Cable. Cable marries fellow warrior Aaliyah, and they have a son named Tyler. Naturally, because happiness is illegal in Cable's life, Strife murders Aaliyah. Cable chases him back to the 20th century, forms the mercenary team Six Pack, and later turns the New Mutants into the X-Force, which features members like Cannonball, Domino, Boom Boom, Shatterstar, Warpath, Feral, and eventually Siren, Richter, and Sunspot. If there's one thing Cable loves besides giant guns, it's accidentally becoming everyone's team leader. One of Cable and Strife's biggest showdowns happened when Strife frames Cable for killing Professor Xavier. Cable fights him alongside his Uncle Havoc, eventually ending with both of them getting sucked into a self-destructing time vortex triggered by Cyclops. Everyone assumes Cable heroically sacrificed himself, clears his name, and then Cable eventually comes back like, good news, I lived. Bad news, time travel is still confusing, because time travel is only there to ruin the X-Men's day, and I'll stick to that forever. Cable also develops one of Marvel's weirdest friendships with Deadpool. Somehow the loudmouth mercenary becomes one of Cable's closest allies, repeatedly saving his life despite constantly driving him insane. At one point, Cable literally turns into a baby, and Deadpool has to rescue infant Cable from Mr. Sinister before he ages back into an adult. Comics are amazing, you know. After M-Day, Cable cures Deadpool's brain damage while dealing with his own accelerating aging. Then he rescues the first mutant baby born after M-Day, Hope Summers, from Bishop, who has a problem with Hope since day one. Raises her in the future as his adopted daughter and brings her back as a teenager. Forge later builds Cable an advanced exoskeleton for his weakened arm, and Cable assembles another version of X-Force with Forge, Domino, Colossus, Boom Boom, Dr. Nemesis, and occasionally Hope to stop disasters before they happen based on his visions of the future. Because if anyone has earned trust issues about tomorrow, it's Cable. Naturally, Cable eventually decides the best way to stop Apocalypse forever is to travel back to ancient Egypt and infect him with the same techno-organic virus. Unfortunately, this somehow makes Apocalypse even more powerful, basically turning him into a god. Instead of fixing history, Cable accidentally creates a giant time paradox where both of them are trapped in an endless cycle of ruining each other's lives across history. Classic Cable plan. Excellent intentions, catastrophic timeline. During the superhero civil war, Cable sides with Captain America's Secret Avengers against the Superhuman Registration Act, even confronting the U.S. president and throwing down with a government-employed Deadpool. Because, of course, those two found another excuse to fight. They can't stay away. Despite spending his entire existence at war, Cable always wanted peace. He even founded the flying city of Providence, hoping to build a futuristic utopia. But the techno-organic virus kept getting worse, and he eventually found himself fighting the Avengers just to protect Hope. Cyclops stopped him. Hope unleashed the Phoenix Force, cured him completely, and even restored an atrophied version of his biological arm. And finally freeing him from the thing that has dominated his entire life. Even after losing the virus, much of his cybernetics and an eye, Cable did not retire. In short, if there's one constant in Cable's life, it's this. No matter how many timelines explode, clones appear, babies get kidnapped, or immortal supervillains ruin the week, he will grab an impossibly large gun, travel through time, and somehow make things slightly less terrible. Usually. Other times he makes them catastrophic. But That's what we love about him, because no matter what he does, no matter the outcome, he will never retire. He will never stop, because he is one of Marvel's greatest soldiers, and it is in his blood. So that is Cable. He is an interesting character. He's a tough character. Not a tough to like, but like he's tough. He's rough around the edges. You know what I mean? So he's pretty cool, but I feel like he's very confusing because I feel like he's used to fill in the cracks in a lot of X-Men stories. And I don't know. I think he's a cool character. I just think he could be used differently. So that is Cable. I hope you like this episode. I hope you'll like and subscribe. And I hope you have a marvelous day.